Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage, or more precisely, the storage facility. I think it's time to do a project update video because lots of stuff has happened. I have gotten quite a few more subscribers and I realized that it could be maybe a little bit difficult to keep up on all my projects, what's there and what's not there and all that. So let's go through the storage facility, after that the garage and the garden because there's cars everywhere. Let's start at the end. In the back here is a SCO 1 gear, a Yamaha Sting, and a Lohmann diesel. These are not mine. I have my own Lohmann diesel. It's in the garage, but these are not mine. Brilliant mopeds, but not mine. This one is Doris, the Opel diesel. This is not mine either. I was asked to try to fix a oil consumption problem on this one. It turned out to be the engine that is worn out. Then we found another engine. It turned out that that is worn out also. After a bit of research, it turns out that these diesel engines in the Opel tends to wear out within 50,000 kilometers, 60,000 kilometers, or something like that. It's a really bad engine. So my advice to the owner was just to drive it, enjoy it, fill it with oil. The only problem is that it's burning oil because of worn piston rings. Yeah, it's not going to drive a million miles. It's a hobby vehicle. In my mind, it should just be enjoyed as is, because the only other option would be, there's a couple of options, but the other options would be to rebuild the engine completely. That would be extremely expensive and it would most likely only last for 60,000 kilometers. The other solution would be to put a petrol engine in it, but that sort of removes what's really cool about this car in my opinion. But enough about this, because as mentioned, it's not mine. This is mine though. This is my 1990 Citroen BX 16 valve 1.9. The perfect edition of the BX if you ask me, at least if you want speed. This is from Sweden. That means that it doesn't have the same amount of speed as the normal BX GTIs, because this develops 148 horsepower and the correct or normal version develops 160. This got lower compression and a couple of other stuff. I can't remember why, but this is a big project. I made a Will It Run video. You can find it somewhere in the million videos. I have a hard time deciding what to do with this. It is, as mentioned, quite a big project. There is quite a bit of rust. It's actually not as bad as I thought it would be. The engine is running, not very good though, but it is running. The big problem is that it's not Danish, so I would have to pay some tax to get it on the road. That would be at least 2,000 euros or something like that. So I haven't really decided. I actually did decide to try to sell it, but I have started to doubt that decision. But it will probably come up for sale at some point, or I will use parts for this to the other BX in the background, or I will fix it. I just don't know yet. But here it is. But does it run? I like to have all my cars in the storage facility running and driving. Not perfect, just being able to start and drive a little bit so I can get it in and out of here is important for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to start all the projects in here, except at least one of them that I don't want to start. Just a small note about that. It's not ideal to start an engine up like this and just let it sit for a couple of minutes and shut it off. At least not in my world, because it will create a lot of condensation. And also an engine likes to work a little bit when it warms up. So this is not ideal, but it's fun. Let's try. Well, I'm sorry about that. It's not gonna run because I forgot the key to this one, but check the video out. It's not that long ago that I started it up. It is driving. And you'll just have to believe me. It's not running completely clean, which makes sense. I think the leads and the spark plugs needs to be changed. It is tappety. That could be the lifters that are, of course, would need an oil change and all that. But it is working. This is my Renault 4 Gendarmerie, original police car from France. This is a car that I'm really happy to own. And I have plans to fix and actually keep for myself at least That's the plan. But I don't know when. I have a lot of projects going on, and it will probably not be in this year. But I am looking forward to this project at least. It's been a while since I parked it here. You can see it's completely flat and all that, but I did drive it in here. There is also a Will It Run video on this one. You can find somewhere. It has not been started since that day, and I can't remember. I might write a little date on the screen now, but let's try to see if it still runs. There's no key. I can't remember if there's no key or it's just, yeah, the barrel is messed up. So I have a remote starter rigged up to this, and chances are it will struggle a little bit to get fuel up to the car. I give this a 50-50 chance to fire up. I fitted a battery. I just need to put the pole, the terminal on it like that. I better check if it's in gear. Oh yeah, that door is not working. There's a lot of stuff in this car. It's primarily rust, I think, because the engine seemed to run decently, but I haven't had it on the lift or anything. I'm just gonna give it a quick bump on the starter to see if it is in neutral. Yep, it is. I can't see if we got fuel in the filter yet. Oh, wait a second. Was I running on an external fuel tank? I forgot about that. I was running this on an external fuel tank. So all I have is this, a small can of two-stroke fuel for my Velo Solex. Of course, it's not ideal to use two-stroke in a four-stroke car, but actually it will lubricate the stuff up a little bit. So it'll be all right. I put a fuel hose in here. I just forgot about that. I didn't dare to run it from the fuel tank because I didn't know how the state of the fuel tank was at the time. So I'm going to try again. Hopefully it will suck some fuel up. But there is now fuel in the filter, I think. But it doesn't. So it doesn't really seem to want to start on its own fuel supply. So let's just give it a little fuel into this and see if it just runs for a bit. That would be enough for me. Yeah. Just gonna give it some more. It sounds so smooth. Yeah, that's enough for me. It is running. It's just the fuel supply that is a bit itchy. The next in line is this. This is my Citroen Mahari project. I lost interest in this project once. Then I started it up again and got a bit of motivation, and now I have lost the interest again. And not only that, there's several reasons for that, because I got the AZU van that I'm working on, which is basically the same, and I really enjoy that. But it's the Mahari. I fixed up one before, and for some reason I decided to try to make everything look new on this one, paint everything and sandblast everything. It's not for me. I lost interest in it, and also I know I will sell it once it's done, because I have had a Mahari before. I think I will be finished with it quite fast. And also a good friend of mine wanted to buy this when it was done, but he ended up buying it off me already. So it's no longer mine, but I might end up fixing it for him at some point, because he probably won't have time to do it himself. So maybe at some point I will finish it up, but it is no longer mine. And one other reason why I had to sell it is that I am trying to make a living out of all of this. It is going in the right direction, but it is kind of a struggle. And at the moment I have to sell some stuff to pay the bills. So this project is no longer mine. I have done a lot of work to it. At the moment it's actually just a matter of finding another engine, because the engine was toast, getting that back in, and then just put everything back together and then paint it if you want it to look good. But it will drive exactly the same no matter how it looks. So, but the Mahari project series will probably stop here. So if you like this project, I'm terribly sorry that I won't finish it. But yeah, It's very important for me to have fun while working on the projects, especially my own. It's different when I get paid to do stuff, but on my own it's supposed to be fun. I have so much fun stuff to do that I rather fix, to be honest. And then there is my collection of mopeds. And actually it's not all of them because I have a Velosolix more in my basement and the Lohmann diesel is in the garage. But there is my Casal. It's working, driving. Then there is the highly performance-tuned Velosolix. I need to make a video about this. I get asked about it quite often. I put on some performance parts, but I never really made a video about how it runs, but it is running. Then there is the Rex. I drove this as my bike to go on trips until I got the Casal. Now it's the Casal instead. I might sell the Rex actually. Then there is this, the Mobilette. I actually sold this to a mate of mine, but he moved to Sweden, so I bought it back because it's awesome. Then there is another Velosolix and a Mobilette Caddy and the NSU Quickly. It is running. It's still not running perfectly. I think it's very slow and I think it should be a little bit faster than it is currently. But I do want to sell it actually because it's just not really... I like the other mopeds more, so I think it will have to go. Then there is the Mobi X. I love that. It's the folding moped. And then the 4 last mopeds are project mopeds. They are not running. I am looking forward to working on the Simpson. The front one is just a Velosolix in pieces. And then I got 2 more Casals in the background. I think I will sell those as projects because I have the other one. I don't want to do repetitive work, I realized. So they will probably have to go. And then there is the Mercedes 123. The car that I bought to be my winter car this winter. I knew it was bad, but I thought it would be okay for a winter beater, but it turned out to be really rusty. There's a lot of rust needed to be fixed on this, even though it was MOT'd, and I think it got 2 years still. It's just not safe to drive at the moment. Well, maybe it's safe, but you will be very wet on your feet, and it wouldn't be good in an accident, for sure. I'm trying to sell this. There's also the possibility of parting it out. The engine is pretty good. It's rebuilt. There's a transmission in the back of the car that I bought for it because the one in the car is bad. I think the spare one that I bought is okay. I'm asking around 250 euros, I think, for it. No, 2,500 euros for it, which is a lot, but it's less than I got invested in it. And if I don't sell it, I will probably just slowly start to do some of the rust repairs. If I'm bored with the other projects, then just drive it down to my garage, do a bit of welding and put it back up here. And then at some point it will be driving again or healthy again. But it is, other than that, pretty stable, I think. And I expect it to just fire up if I put it into ignition and give it a couple of seconds to preheat and then turn the key. Yeah, and it sounds like a ferry straight away. Perfect. And this car shuts off using vacuum, and it's been on for too short a while to actually build any vacuum. So I have to shut it off like that. Again, it's not an ideal way to start up a diesel engine and just let it run for a second or two and shut it off again. But it's my car, it's my rules. And if they break, I fix them myself, so. There we go. That's the Mercedes. Next in line is my Rover Metro GTI. And I haven't shown a lot of this car, actually. I did make it run to drive it here. I didn't film any of that because I was in a hurry to do it. Unfortunately, I should have done because it was quite interesting. This got the notorious K-Series engine. And it was supposed to be a runner when I bought it. And it actually also was. And there was no sign of head gasket failure when I fired it up. But then straight after that, it just filled the engine with coolant. And it happened right there, I'm sure of it. I think it's something to do with a little rubber bushing, a little rubber ring in the head gasket that fails. And it really seems that way, that it just filled the engine with coolant. So I drained the oil and filled in fresh oil and then got it dragged up here, and I'm worried about the engine because it's not ideal to be standing with moisture in the engine. I hope I got most of it out, but I am suspecting a high possibility of rust inside that engine. But I really like this car and I'm looking forward to start working on it, but it is a big project. It could end up with a complete engine rebuild. The roof needs to be changed, but it's such a cool car and an extremely rare car in Denmark at least, and I think all around. But as mentioned, it's the GTI version, which means that there is a 1.4 K-series engine crammed in there. And it's a pretty cool little engine. And I wish they had put the 1.8 engine in it, because this is developing 100, I think, horsepower or thereabout. It would have been such a big competition to all the other hot hatches if it had around 130 horsepower. 100 is maybe a little bit too little. But it's a nice little car. It's a nice riding car. It got hydrogas suspension and a really cool interior that reminds me a lot. Oh yeah, the door is not working. But it reminds me a lot of a Toyota twin cam models. Really cool interior, I think. But as mentioned, the big problem is the roof. And it is a big problem. It's actually not that rusty underneath. It is rusty, of course, but not comparing it to normal Rover standards or Metro standards. It's savable, but the roof is definitely the worst part. I got another roof from a Austin Metro. It should be the same. It's not perfect either, but I could try to change the entire roof using that, or do the same as I did to the CX and just try to fix it up here. We're just going to have to see. It's going to be a big project, but I really like this car and I'm looking forward to start working on this one, but I don't know when. Next in line is the Citroen BX Estate or Break 4x4, 1.9 petrol. This is a really cool car that I got quite a while ago. I think it has been standing here at least a year since I have fired it up last time. I think even more, actually. It's a really cool car. A part of me is tempted to try to make this work before next winter, because it's the ideal winter car in my collection at the moment because of the 4x4. And it could be cool, but it needs a lot of work, of course. But let's see if it still runs, because as mentioned, it's at least a year ago. I think maybe even 1.5, I'm not sure. I might write it on the screen because I will be able to tell you by looking at the previous videos. There's a lot of videos on this one actually. And I'm looking forward to returning to this project for sure. Let's see. It got a fuel pump because it's injection, so I give it a better chance than the Renault 4. Let's say 70% chance to fire up. I'm gonna prime the pump until I hear that it pressurizes. There we go. Let's try. Nothing really. It's not sounding promising. I have a feeling that there's not a lot of fuel coming up there. I'm just gonna give it a bit of fuel down the throat, just to see if it is, because it could also be spark related. If it fires up now, then it's fuel, of course. Oh yeah. To be honest, I think that it's out of fuel. It's been a long while since I fired it up last time, and I don't think I put a lot of fuel in, so it's probably just evaporated or something. It is running though. This is one of my 2 Citroen C25 Campers. I think I'm the only guy in Denmark owning 2 Citroen C25 Campers. Achievement. Anyway, this is my diesel, 2.5 turbo diesel version with 4x4 made by Puch. It's a really awesome little camper. Very expensive in tax at the moment in Denmark because of regulations, and it's not old enough to be a classic yet. Next year, I think it will drop 75% in road tax. At the moment, it's around close to 3,000 euros a year. So it doesn't have number plates on at the moment. I can't afford it, which is a shame because it's awesome, but I can't use it. I'm not going to start it up because I know it works. I took the number plates off it this November, I think. It runs perfectly, and I don't want to put a lot of condensation into that engine right now. It's completely filled with the interior of the Saab at the moment because it's a great place to store it. And yeah, this just works, but I think we're going on a camper trip this summer. I don't know yet if it's going to be this or the other one. The other one will be cheaper in tax, and also it would be a little bit more suiting for a child, I think, because it's more, there's a lot more luxury in that one. This one is just a shelter on wheels pretty much. Perfect for going into the forest in Sweden. I made a video about a trip we made 2 years back, driving around in Sweden in this one. That was an awesome experience for sure. Enough about that. And here we have more stuff and my very cool Husqvarna moped that I hope to save at some point. I'm trying to find parts for it. It's difficult, but at some point I would like to revive that one. This is the one that started it all. This is my Austin Metro Surf from 1989, I think, or 88, I'm not sure. This was the first car that I made videos about some years back. I just wanted to finish it up and get it on the road as I always do. But for some reason, I always abandon this for some years and then get back to it. And it's actually pretty close to being MOT ready, I think. Of course, I need to fit the rings and all that, and there are small rust works still needs fixing, but it's actually pretty close to being ready. At some point, this needs to be finished because it's an awesome little car, and this is a really rare car because nobody liked it back then. They wanted the Minis instead, so they took the engine and the braking system and all that and put it on Minis and scrapped these. But it's a brilliant little car with hydro gas suspension and the famous Mini engine and all that. And even though it's been a while since I started it up last time, I am pretty sure that this will just fire up. Not straight away because it will need some fuel up there, but it will fire up, I'm sure of it. I have done a lot of work to this. Most of the work I did in the lockdown because I just had to stay home, and I just welded and welded and welded and welded. Let's try to see. It will probably have to crank for a while, but I do expect it to start up. There we go, and it just runs like a new car. But it sounds really nice, and remember this car got 86,000 kilometers on the clock. It's a brand new, very old car. But really, I should just finish up this car. I just don't really know what I'm going to use it for. Of course, I'm going to drive it for a bit. But in Denmark, it is quite expensive to have cars on number plates and MOT and all that, especially if you have a lot. So I don't really know what I'm going to do with this car, but I really like it. I got new rims for it because I couldn't get the tires for the old metric sizes. I think it is. This is Alicat alloy wheels, really cool wheels. And yeah, it's a nice little car. 1.0 or is it 0.9? I'm not even sure. I think it's 1,000 cubic. Yeah, it is. And then it's the A-series engine. So it's a nice little peppy engine. And yeah. Next in line is my Citroen Visa GTI. I hope to start work on this in a couple of months because I have a dream about driving this and my Porsche through the summer, and maybe also the Abarth. It would just be a nice tricolor of driving experiences. But this one I have done a lot of work to. I also got the original rims for it. They need restoring, but they are there because I don't like these. And then it just needs a new cam belt. It needs the brakes worked over, and there is some electrical stuff and so on. But it is actually pretty close to being MOT ready. And also, I really do expect it to run. I give this a 90% chance to fire up. So let's see if I'm right about that. Oh yeah. And it sounds pretty sweet. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be a blast to drive. And then there is my precious Lancia A1012 Abarth. I'm not going to fire this up because I drove it in a previous video not that long ago. It's running perfectly. No problem with it. Oh, I got a little bit of a bearing noise, but other than that, it's running strong. But I'm giving it a break at the moment because I have driven this quite a lot, and now it's time to use the Porsche instead. It needs also a lot of rust work. The wheel arches are pretty bad. I think it needs a new MOT next year, and it needs to work before that, for sure. As mentioned, my plan is to get the Visa on plates together with this and the Porsche, but at some point I will have to decide between them. But I won't be able to afford having them all on number plates for very long, most likely. I have a hard time even thinking about selling the Abarth, but you'll never know. But this is really, I love this little car. And here is my daily driver and my ride to the storage facility today. My Porsche 924 is just running brilliantly. And I really am enjoying this car a lot. It's a lot of fun to drive. It seems really stable. It's comfortable to drive at high speeds. And it's just, at the moment, perfect for my needs. Of course, it's not very roomy, but that's the only thing. It's a lot of fun. I really am enjoying this car. That's all for the storage facility. Let's go back to the garage and check out what's there and what's in the driveway and all that. See you in a bit. So back from the storage facility, and you're gonna have to excuse me, I'm sitting in the car because it's so cold outside. But that's the C25 Camper, the petrol one that I own, that I really hope to take on a trip this year through Denmark. It needs some work still, but not a lot. I think a couple of days of welding, new brake discs, some rubbers on the steering rack, and a general service of the engine will be enough to get this through the MOT, I think. And then we're just going to have to experience it and see how good it is. And we'll at some point have to decide on which of the two campers to keep, because I'm not going to keep two of them, that's for sure. But this one is cool because it's got a lot of cool features inside, like water heater, heat, fridge, freezer, room for toilet even, and a nice sleeping configuration and stuff like that the other one doesn't have. The best thing would be to take all the stuff from this and put on the 4x4, but it feels so wrong to to slaughter a car like that, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, it's a cool little project. And then there also is the Citroen XM in my garden at the moment, and the reason why it's there is because I want to clean it out. It has become quite dirty of standing for so long. But this is the joint venture project together with Bilklubben podcast. I'm done with the work that I need to do on this and have been for quite a while. The next thing this car needs is some rust work that I'm not going to do, and a windscreen replacement. And then I think it's MOT ready. But there's still a lot of work needed on this car, even when it's MOT'd, I think, because it's very complicated car and there's a lot of stuff. But we are trying to get this car back on the road using my philosophy of doing as little as possible, just make it safe to drive and all that. And the brakes are working fine now and are brand new actually. And it's all the safety stuff is all right. But I think the engine management system is a bit weird still. And I think the waking up of this car will be a little bit interesting. Maybe a bit like my CX. I hope that the basic engine is all right. I had some worries about the head gasket at one point, but I think it's all right. But yeah, it's just a very complicated, very old car, and but still very cool. I wish it was mine, to be honest. But yeah. Back in the warm garage. It's nice. It's really springtime now in Denmark, and the temperature can get quite decent at daytime, but it drops really rapidly. And today it's just windy and it's really chilly. But inside of here, I'm working on the AZU van, and as you can see, the front is removed again. That's because I'm actually currently making a video on this one. It's just going to be filmed over a couple of days because it's a big project. It's a big thing I'm going to do, and right now I have just sprayed down everything that I need to undo because I'm removing this, because I need to get to that down there that is bent. So you will see a video on this very soon. It turns out this car is not bent because of fatigue or rust. It is bent because of an accident. At least I'm pretty sure of it. But I hope to fix it anyway. So stay tuned for videos on the AZU. And over here I'm working on the Lohmann diesel. I'm currently trying to get new tires on it and a new chain and all that because I want to try to start the engine up. I did the rebuild, and next thing is to try to start it up. I'm slightly concerned about it, to be honest, because one thing is I'm not sure that this bicycle really fits the engine. It needs some modifications at least to actually work. But the thing that is my main concern is that I don't think that it spins as freely as I was expecting it to do, at least. But maybe it's just because it's in good condition. But it could also be because something is wrong or maybe bent a little bit. It is spinning. It's not completely stuck, but I'm just a little bit worried about it. But we're just going to have to see when I get everything back together, and then I'm just going to go to the top of the hill and then hopefully fire this up going downhill at some point when enough heat is generated. It's a lovely little thing at least. And then the Commander is back in the garage. This was what I was supposed to be working on when I suddenly got the Porsche offered and bought that. And then the AZU arrived and all that. It is another big project, of course. I did the rust repair. There's a lot of videos on this car on the channel actually. But the rust repair I did on the drive shaft tunnel on the right side. I think the next thing I want to do is to fix the brakes, because currently it got no brakes, so I have no chance of moving it. And I would like to get brakes working so I can put it in storage when I work on other stuff, because that will eventually happen, that I need to use the lift from time to time and so on. So I want to do that. And then I think the next thing would be to try to fix the roof. To be honest, I wish I just could pay someone to paint this, because it will be worth it. But it's too expensive, and also I won't get the satisfaction of doing it myself, which I really like. But I do know that I am struggling in the painting and the filler department and all that. But it would be fun to just try to repaint the roof to start with, also to fix the rust up there. The big problem on this car is the paint, because it's bubbled all over the place and it's horrible, and these are the really bad spots. I do think that these can just be sanded down, treated, epoxy primed, and that will be good to go. And then paint the roof. I probably will put it on the auto VIP that I got to get the car on the side, so I can paint on a wall instead of down there, because that's a bit difficult, I think. But the great thing is that I can paint the roof in one go because of that. So it's just one part pretty much. So I can paint that and then concentrate on the other stuff later down the line. But when I get this fixed and closed up, I won't be so sad of having it standing outside, because currently it's been standing there a couple of weeks. No, it's actually been standing there for over a month, and it's really not ideal. But I do think the reason why it's a bit weird colored is I put some rust treat on it, but I do think that I got pretty clean metal underneath, I hope. But there's another catch, because to fix the roof right, I will also need to sort out this, and to sort out that, and to sort out that, I will probably have to take the windscreen out. I don't think it's glued in, because it got this stripe in here, so I just think it's removable, but I need to take the windscreen out to do it also. But yeah, first thing would be to fix the brakes, and then I will have to do some thinking about the next step, but it could be fun to try to paint that roof for sure. But that was all the projects. And currently I don't have anyone coming in. I am trying not to buy more stuff. And as mentioned, I'm actually trying to sell some stuff currently to just pay for it all. The channel is for sure going in the right direction. I am currently trying to get another sponsor. So if you got a company and want your name somewhere on the screen, feel free to write me. And also I have gotten quite a lot of Patreons lately, and that's great. That really helps me out. I actually am going to release a Q&A video on my Patreon page later today, maybe, or maybe tomorrow. So stay tuned for that if you are a Patreon. But if you want to help me another way, the biggest help is actually just to share my videos with friends and like-minded souls, because views is pretty much what counts in this YouTube world. Either way, I just love doing it. I think it's a lot of fun. And even if I do have to get a real job to pay the bills, I will continue to make videos still. It will just be less than now. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to work on that AZU so I can get that snail off the chassis and take a look at that kink in the chassis. Thanks for watching, and thanks for all the support. You guys are great. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.